everybody, and welcome to I Told You So. This is episode 2. I'm your host, Alex Patton. This podcast is dedicated to expressing my personal views on the issues plaguing our country. My top news source is the Epic Times. I do go outside of Epic Times from time to time, but I really want to get jump started into this because this is, to me, some really big news. And I really want to get this out there as soon as possible. But today's first topic is about a door-to-door vaccine outreach program in North Carolina. The program is being initiated by the Mecklenburg County Public Health Department out of Charlotte, North Carolina. The program includes a mobile clinic to vaccinate those convinced by the door-to-door solicitors to take the vaccine. A lot of these things are happening because of the White House's press secretary, Jen Psaki, who claims there is a lack of information about the efficiency of the vaccine and about a lack of accessibility to the vaccine causing death across the country. The Health Freedom Defense Fund Incorporated president and founder, Leslie Manukian, claims the outreach program violates zone of privacy. The federal government protects citizens' zone of privacy through an act established in a 1965 Supreme Court ruling between Griswold versus Connecticut. The precedent established by the ruling later assisted in the court's ruling in Roe versus Wade. The Supreme Court ruled that a Connecticut law violated marital privacy by restricting sale of contraceptives. Despite the current vaccine push and claims of its efficiency, the CDC has reports that clearly disprove this theory of the vaccine's efficiency. In an early report, the CDC confirmed 5,800 cases of infection after vaccination. Of those 5,800 cases, 396 required hospitalization, and 74 cases proved fatal. So that is basically 1% of the cases proved fatal. And as of July 26, 2021, the CDC has confirmed in the United States 6,587 cases of infection following the vaccination to be fatal or require hospitalizations. Of those, 6,239 were hospitalized, making up a 95% rate. A total of 1,263 cases were fatal, yielding a 19% rate. The current death rate from not being vaccinated or for the whole country is 2%. So far in the U.S., according to the Worldometer's info website, 35,743,144 cases of coronavirus have been reported in America, and 629,310 resulted in death, with a 98% recovery rate and a 2% death rate. With that info, it seems the vaccine isn't as effective as the Biden administration boasts, leading to the question of why are they so insistent on enforcing this vaccine? Biden himself, in December of 2020, warned a vaccine would be ineffective in a December 22nd, 2020 CNBC article. Now his position has shifted. But why? Nobody knows. It's not been reported. Why? What caused him to change his mind? It's a little curious. Well, I did some research. Perhaps the best and most clear answer comes from public records posted on the website ncbi.nlm.nih.gov, where Mr. Fauci works. And if you go on this website, you can pull up this article that's going to tell you that the pharmaceutical industry records an average of $233 million in lobbying expenditures at the federal level, more than any other industry. Any industry. So, what does that mean? What does it mean that the pharmaceutical industry is spending so much money on getting people elected? Let's dive into that. Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America accounted for 9% of those $233 million. But what is Pharmaceutical Research Manufacturers of America? Well, they use this acronym called capital P, lowercase h, capital RMA, Pharma for short. And the board members of that group include Executive Vice President and Worldwide Chairman of Pharmaceuticals Johnson & Johnson, Jennifer Talbert. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Pfizer Incorporated, Dr. Albert Bourla, and Executive Chairman of Merck and Company Incorporated, Ken Frazier, and last but not least, Director and Chief Executive Officer of AstraZeneca Pharmaceuticals, LP, Pascal Soriot. They are all on the board of directors for pharma. So you've got Johnson & Johnson, you've got Pfizer, and with AstraZeneca and Merck, they are in a co-op with Moderna. Who offers the vaccines? Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, Moderna. And they're contributing more than any other company in the world to get Joe Biden elected in 2020. Maybe that's why his stance on this election, on this vaccine, has changed. Because now he's on their payroll. Altogether, this is all a big scandal set to transform American citizens into nothing more than a dollar sign. That's all you are to the government, to pharmaceutical companies. These vaccines they're pushing out that everybody's in a hurry to get, yet nobody knows what the effects are, and clearly they're not that effective. Period. So, if the government mandates the vaccine, then you're worth nothing more than their reelection campaign contributions. That's what you are to them. Money. And that's it. They don't care about your health or anything other than the fact that you got them elected. They made a payday out of it, and they continuously get paid for it. Is this so hard to believe? Hunter Biden obviously collected a paycheck while his father was vice president. So, and in turn, his father received payments. So why is it so hard to believe that these pharmaceutical companies are your president? They own you. They're not your president. They're your dictator. Why hasn't anyone else in America noticed this? Why has this not been reported? Did anybody know this? Did anybody know that the people that created these vaccines that are supposed to cure or end this epidemic paid for your president to be elected? And now he's wanting to mandate these vaccines. He's in talks now to fix it to where I've heard everything to getting child protective services involved and removing children from homes of parents who refuse to get vaccinated. And this is socialism. Nobody wants to hear me. Nobody wants to believe it, but this is socialism. Hitler was a socialist. Same thing happened in Germany. People have a hard time believing Hitler was a socialist because he became a dictator. But the thing about socialism is, even Marx said that you can try to take these companies and give them to the people, but it's inevitable that you're going to have to use force, either threats of violence or actual violence. And that's when you go from being a socialist leader to a dictator. The pharmaceutical industry, contributed $5,900,000 to Joe Biden's campaign by September of 2020. The total tally by election day was $6,300,000. They gave Trump's campaign $1,600,000. Democrats in total received $32,600,000 versus $19,800,000 that was sent to Republicans. And why? Why did they do that? Well, I can tell you why. Pharma even admitted that they believed Biden would do more for their industry than Trump. Money. They knew that the Republicans were not going to force these mandates. And now you've got this whole thing about an election scandal. I personally don't know who to believe. I know they're doing an audit in Maricopa County. And I know that several representatives from around the country have been there. I don't know what the results of that are yet. And as soon as I find out, I'll let you know. But to me, it's very crooked, the things that are going on right now. This is scary. We have a country that voted for people because they wanted socialism, but they're not getting socialism. I don't want socialism. And I personally do not understand why no one out of all these news companies that make all this money, out of all these politicians, none of them have researched what I just told you and brought it to your attention. Why? This is important stuff. This is next level stuff. Today's rant segment is about a millennial's dream, the wonderful world of socialism. Of course, I myself do research and know this is a bad idea. But to the sheeple of the United States who are oblivious, allow me to enlighten. What is socialism? Dictionary.com defines it as a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. Did anyone see all these millennials throwing their little temper tantrums when Hillary lost the election? Yet they believe they can be in charge of producing goods, though most of them can't even cook. They probably don't know half the U.S. capitals yet. They want to decide how goods should be transferred and distributed. They want to exchange goods, yet most of them only know how to exchange TikTok usernames. Merriam-Webster dictionary defines socialism as a stage of society in Marxist theory transitional between capitalism and communism, and distinguished by unequal distribution of goods and pay according to work done. Under democratic socialism, as Bernie Sanders claims to be, the production of necessary goods as defined by the government will be taken from private owners and given to the public. More than likely through military force, as was the case in Nazi Germany. Senator Sanders claims the top 1% of Americans don't pay their fair share of taxes. Turns out Bernie got it right, because that 1% pays 39% of the nation's income tax. So they pay more than their fair share. Also, in existing democratic socialist countries like Denmark, all citizens pay a 57% personal income tax. You hear that, millennial? Your free college ain't so free, is it? Let's do the math, shall we? Walmart pays $11 an hour minimum to their employees. So a full-time employee would gross $440 for a 40-hour week. Now, 57% of that is $250.80. So you take $440 and subtract it by $250.80, and the employee would bring home a whopping $189.20 per week for working 40 hours. That seems fair. Let's go, Bernie. Imagine a minimum wage job. You millennials smoke too much marijuana or something, because you're absolutely brain dead. Let's talk about the top reasons to resist socialism. This information was posted in a December the 3rd, 2018 article by Lee Edwards, PhD, called What Americans Must Know About Socialism, for a website called heritage.org. Number one, it has never worked in history. Just like an iPhone, after 4 months, it never works. From the Soviet Union, Maoism in China, state socialism in India, democratic socialism in Sweden, and finally National Socialism in Nazi Germany. It has always failed. It's like shooting a basketball on a rimless goal. After the first 6 times, you see 6 different people shoot. And still believing that you're the one that's going to make it through that rim. It's not there. You can't. Wake up. Number 2. It was founded by Karl Marx, a habitual racist and unapologetic drunk. So if you want to take advice from Barney Gumble, the town drunk on The Simpsons, go right ahead. What I can't seem to grasp is how BLM leaders Patrisse Cullors and Alicia Garza can boast about being trained Marxists when Marx believed that black people are close to the animal kingdom. His words, not mine, except replace black people for a racial slur. There's your hero. Number 3, socialism forbids the right of private property and seeks to take from others and give to all. So if any of you socialist-minded millennials have a nice little farmhouse and a sizable bank account, It's your duty to sign those over. Come on. I'd like those. A guy by the name of John Locke once said that all humankind had the natural rights of life, liberty, and property. Marx went on to state that when taking property, violence and force are inevitable. Well, I'm a firm believer in the Second Amendment, and I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees, as a patriot named George Washington once said. The founding fathers of the United States opposed socialism because Marx insisted human nature is not constant, while the founding fathers believed that we were born in the image of God. Marx believed in a government that was in complete control, much like modern-day Democrats. However, George Washington thought the government should serve the people and the people should control the government. As far as I know, this has only been done one time in my lifetime, and that was by President Ronald Reagan. Basically, forcing someone to buy health insurance or even forcing them to wear a mask in public is a violation of the Constitution as the founding fathers intended it. So, yeah, your government is not supposed to tell you what to do. That's what the Constitution says. It's supposed to be of the people, by the people, and for the people. Not, oh, well, you've elected us, so we're in charge. That's not how this country was designed or founded. That's not what they wanted. They already had that in a little country called England. Number 5, socialism always turns to fascism. So a dictator can attain and remain in power. This is where I get in arguments with people. Once again, this current constant thing I'm going to keep bringing up is this, as I keep doing these shows. Adolf Hitler was a socialist. In socialism, Marx even said that you have to take property by force. Therein lies where you cross that border from socialism into fascism. And Hitler crossed it. Fidel Castro crossed it. So every socialist leader, from Vladimir Lenin to Fidel Castro, promised to instill free elections, free press, and free assembly. However, none fulfilled their promises. Kind of like installing voting machines that magically change votes. Socialism demands obedience from the people, no matter how radical and quickly it changes. This hits home like a certain governor who literally holds a press conference and says, wear a mask in public or get the vaccine or there will be consequences. Nobody's talking about that. Number 6, socialism is responsible for the deaths of more than 100 million people. To put that into perspective, 750,000 died in the Civil War. 291,557 died in World War II. 675,000 died in the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. And 6 million died in the Holocaust. So in all, more people have died by gunshot and death camps of these socialist governments than in all major wars of the 21st century combined. So, how about that? You still want that free education now? Because it's real. And I'm not real big on conspiracy theories or anything like that, but I've heard multiple rumors about death camps and things like that being prepared for people. Coffins being built. There's a lot of questionable things happening with the government, and whether people believe it or not, I mean, I don't know. I can't sit here and say the election was rigged. I can't. But if it was, then we're already in socialism right now, because our votes didn't matter. And I'm trying to understand how the most popular president ever gets booed in his own hometown. They didn't even like him there. It's crazy that this is the world we're living in now. Moving on, today's Fight or Flight segment. The Department of Justice versus the election audits. The Department of Justice officials alerted state officials that they will be closely observing current and future audits. The Biden administration claims the audits are unusual and exceedingly rare. The Department of Justice warns violators of the Civil Rights Act of 1965 face up to $1,000 fines and up to a year in prison. Arizona Senate President Karen Fann, who ordered the audit, says the Department of Justice guidance is an attempt by Democrats to discredit the audit. Fann has postponed initial plans to canvass households where questionable votes were cast due to this memo from the Department of Justice. It's a little funny to me why, if the election was actually conducted properly, why would the Department of Justice be threatening the people who are doing audits? I mean, yeah, the audits have dragged on for a long time. And, I mean, it's not like these audits are going to change the outcome of the election at this point. So, it's kind of like when the O.J. Simpson trial was on television. It just keeps lasting forever and ever and ever, and everybody wants to see what happens, and we want to see the end. I don't think everybody wants to see what happens with these audits, but I know that there's been several state legislators who have been there to witness these audits that have went back to their own state and have brought up intentions to do an audit. So I don't know if that means they actually found something or they didn't find something. It's something. I mean, I don't know exactly. I can't say. At this point, it's personal belief. All I know is, like I said earlier, it's hard to believe that the most popular president in American history can't even go to his hometown without being booed. Not only was he booed, everybody there had a Trump flag, and everybody there, well, not everybody there, but some of the people there were flipping him off as his motorcade went through. So, and it seems like the only people that are loud and proud about their support of Biden are the media. CNN, MSNBC, ABC, I think, is one of them. I mean, it's just, it goes on and on. And I don't understand why. If you look up One American News Network or Fox News Network or Newsmax, I think is the new one. If you look those up on your browser, Google or Siri, whichever, I think it's Siri. I don't know. But if you look those up, Safari's that, yeah, Safari. If you look those up, you're going to come across a ton of articles from different liberal papers that say how they are so one-sided and they put out fake news and everything else. It's confusing to me. But let's move on to the second article of Fight or Flight. And that is Mr. President Biden versus federal contract workers and contractors. Biden basically signed an executive order that said get the vaccine or else. Unvaccinated workers must wear face masks and social distance. They will have restricted travel and submit weekly or twice weekly for testing. The American Postal Workers Union states federal government does not have the role of mandating vaccine or testing measures. The CDC recommends all individuals wear masks in high transmission areas. Facebook and Google already require proof of vaccine before employees may show up for work. And that's pretty much, I told you so. Remember I covered socialism earlier, and socialism says that the government takes control and takes away your rights and your freedoms, and They're doing it. There was a case, a Supreme Court case, that allowed the federal government, the ruling allowed the federal government to require that they could require vaccines. And it was in the early 1900s, and it's still the precedent for today. There's not been a legal challenge, at least not a legal challenge that was successful to that order. So unless a reasonable argument is brought up before the Supreme Court, they rule on it. That is the principles, pretty much. I'm not sure if that is, in my mind, that's not constitutional at all, because if it's not a right given to the government in the articles of the Constitution, then it is reserved for the states. So technically the states should have that mandate, or be able to issue those mandates. But then again, if you're in a state like ours, you're going to have to get the crap anyway. So, and I'm telling you, there's something fishy about this vaccine business. Initially it was a, hey, we're giving out this vaccine to help stop this thing, and it's becoming more and more of a get a vaccine or you're killing people thing. And no one has the rights or the authority to say that to anybody. Vaccinated people are dying. Unvaccinated people are dying. It's not one-sided. So you can't say, hey, you're the ones causing this. And then I think it's something about if you don't have the vaccine, then you're the one that's giving it to the people that have had the vaccine. But if they've had the vaccine, they shouldn't be able to get it. So it's like the whole measles outbreak. Recently, a lot of parents were outspoken about that because their children were getting the measles, but their children had the measles vaccine, and they were blaming their child getting the measles on the children whose parents refused to get their child vaccinated because of their religious beliefs. It's confusing. All I know is I think it should be up to the individual. I personally wouldn't recommend the vaccine to anybody until it is fully tested and FDA approved. It's not an emergency situation where you have to get the vaccine or everybody's going to die, because people are not dying like they were. And the people that were dying, the CDC even admitted, weren't really dying from COVID. They were dying from underlying causes. And COVID didn't help the problem. I think it was something like 5% of the people that died from COVID-19 actually died from COVID-19. And that was when it was at 200,000. and they just keep pushing it on and on and on. But it's not their place to do that. So that's my take on it. Let's do some entertainment. Today's top fives. I chose two different categories this time. Just wanted to do that. So the first one is comedy. Let's go through the top five. And once again, the top one is not necessarily my favorite, but the fifth one is my favorite. So it goes kind of like that order. These are all movies, my personal favorite movies. Movies that I recommend in each category. So let's get into comedy. And also, I do rank these with stars. Doesn't really matter. It's just my personal opinion. But anyway, number one in comedy, I put Talladega Nights. I gave this film 4 stars. Pretty good film. Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, and Sacha Baron Cohen. I think that's how you say his name. Pretty good movie. They're fun. It's a funny movie. It's Ricky Bobby, the name. Everybody talks about it. I think there's a rap song about it. Anyway, he's a race car driver. And it's just fun to me. I like Will Ferrell. He's one of my favorites. Number 2, Coming to America. Eddie Murphy, another one of my favorites. Grew up watching him. He's hilarious. He's very talented. I think he plays like 7 or 8 people in this movie, him and Arsenio Hall. And there's even a scene in a barbershop, and they're between the two of them, they play everybody in the barbershop, and it's hilarious. But I gave that one 4 stars as well. Number 3, the movie Life. Another Eddie Murphy movie. He's my favorite, with Martin Lawrence. It's got Cedric the Entertainer in it, I think. Got Bernie Mac. It's got a lot of great guys in it. Very hilarious. It has to do with like racial inequality. Basically, police officers arrest Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence's characters because they're black and he's white and he's racist. And they get put on a prison farm, and it goes from there. It's a pretty good movie. That's where they run into Bernie Mac and all those guys. Highly recommend that movie. Number 4, Step Brothers. John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell again. This movie was, I think, funnier than Talladega Nights. It has more, it's not really centered around any one thing. It's more open, and it's just hilarious. And I gave that one 4.2 stars. And number 5, my favorite comedy movie. Probably of all time, always will be. And this one is The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy. This movie is hilarious. I could watch it a million times and still laugh at it. And it's just one of my favorite movies. Eddie Murphy's hilarious. And I gave that one 4.8 stars. So I really recommend that one if you haven't seen it. It's an older movie. Most of these are older movies except for Talladega Nights and Step Brothers. I want to say another movie that I really liked that didn't make the list. I was just thinking of it. Is Spaceballs. If you have not seen Spaceballs, it's hilarious. It's kind of like one of those spoof movies, and it's parodies Star Wars. It's a good movie. Very funny. But Golden Child, where's that? I think they made a second coming to America. I watched bits and pieces of it. I hadn't seen it all. But watch the first one and then watch the second one so you know what's going on. I really like the first one. Really good movie. And now we're going to move on to the second category, and I chose action movies. And with this, we have in the number one spot, The Last Action Hero. Arnold Schwarzenegger film. Pretty good movie. Basically, he's like a movie character, and he gets pulled into the real world. I'm thinking that's not the right movie. I'm sorry. But I think this is the right movie. Number two. Oh, I gave Last Action Hero 4 stars. The Last Starfighter is number 2. I love this movie. It's an older movie. Guy plays a video game. Alien spaceship comes, takes him to space, and it's like basically the game is like a training simulator by some kind of galactic protection place. Really good movie. I gave that one 4.4 stars. Number 3. Go ahead and tell you these last 3 are comic book movies. Really like the comic book movies. Really big on the heroes and everything. Number 3, I chose Black Panther, and I gave that one 4.5 stars. It's a really good movie. It's like about a mythical place in Africa called I'm not even going to try to pronounce it because I just screwed it up pretty bad. Anyway, the place ends up getting invaded, and yeah, the hero is a Black Panther, and he saves the day. It's our hero movie for you. Really good movie. Expresses a lot of African culture. It's really great that Marvel spent that much time on the Black Panther as a person, as a character, and he wasn't like one of the main characters in Marvel like over the years, but in the movie franchise they've made him more of a main character, and I like that. So I gave that one 4.5 stars. Number 4, Venom. Another Marvel movie. Venom has always been intriguing to me, and in this one they add kind of like a comedy into it as well, and it's just hilarious to me. And I really like the movie. Really good effects, visual effects, and plus, I mean, the character is just cool. Really looking forward to the second one coming out. Gave that one 4.5 stars. Number 5, my favorite action movie, and another movie out of the Marvel franchise. And this is Captain America. Really liked the movie. The first one. I think it's called The First Avenger. Captain America: The First Avenger. It's a really good movie. They did a really good job with it. Way better than the older Captain America movie. And it was just a good movie. I mean, even if you weren't into superheroes, it was just a good action movie. And it was just something like empowering, from back in the day, World War II, everybody was proud to be an American. But I really liked the movie. And I gave that one 4.6 stars. So, I guess with that said, that concludes this episode of I Told You So. Stay tuned if you haven't subscribed at the bottom. On YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, please click on the link on the page to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe there. You get to see the full episode there. You only get to see a part of it on Facebook. And I'm sorry if the first episode was really boring. It's like the first episode jitters. I'm trying to make this one a little bit more exciting. But, hey, doing the best I can. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the comments section below. And I will get back to you, trying to keep my fan base interactive. I want to know what you want. Things you want to know, please ask. I'll research them if I don't know. I want to get an interactive fan base. Really like to reach out and connect with my fans. That's just what I like to do. And anyway, thank you again for watching. Have a good. See you next episode.